Hello, everyone. Welcome to Take the Black Live, the show where myself, Dan Selcke of winteriscoming.net, Mia Johnson of FanSided.com, and super special guest, Winter is Coming, WIC writer, editor, interviewer extraordinaire Corey Smith, talk about all things sci-fi, fantasy, books, television, movies, pamphlets, inserts, anything that is worth perusing. We want to tell you about it so you can make informed decisions about how you spend your entertainment time. I thought, Mia, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you all?
I give myself a solid 8. It's a pretty good day. It's very hot outside, but it's cool in here. And we had some interesting stuff to talk about today. And Corey, I wanted to have you on because you... I think, Mia, you've watched it too. You've watched the new Netflix program Cursed on Netflix, which is a new kind of young adult take on King Arthur. So, King Arthur and Nimue and Merlin and all those crazy cats. We all know the story, at least a little bit. We've had so many adaptations over the years. This is kind of Netflix's new attempt to sort of do a Game of Thrones thing, I think, a little bit, and do their own kind of fantasy show. And since you've seen the whole thing, and Mia, you've watched it, I just want to ask you guys, Cursed, yay or nay, good or bad? Knight in shining armor, or pig with a stupid hat on it trying to pass itself off as a human being?
Having seen the whole show, I quite like it. It's a little slow in the first 4 or 5 episodes. I mean, that's kind of to be expected, I think, with kind of any show, as they're laying the groundwork.
Sure.
But yeah, having seen the whole show, I liked it. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Like, what is the deal with it, either of you? Like, what's, like, the basic premise, like, in a nutshell?
Yeah, I'll let Corey explain this because the first episode I watched while I was working and it was on in the background. So it's like I got the general gist of what was going on, but I think Corey needs to explain it to me either way.
Well, I mean, people are calling it a reimagining of the typical Arthurian legend, but I mean, in reality, I mean, you're talking about stuff that may or may not have happened in the 5th century in England. So,
it didn't happen.
But I mean, people are kind of, they talk about, it's a reimagining and this isn't the Arthur I know, but I mean, really, how much do we know for sure? You know what I mean? It's all based on stuff that happened thousands of years ago. So anyways, but the basic premise remains the same. There's, Excalibur is there. It's called the Sword of Power. It's not called Excalibur. Arthur's not king yet. He's still a young kind of knight trying to find his way. Nimue is the central character, and she's attempting to get the sword to Merlin, who is a drunk and basically is living off his past reputation. He's lost all his magical abilities, and so he's kind of just leaning on his, people think he has magic and they think he knows everything, and so he's kind of leaning into that throughout the series. So but really, it kind of revolves around, there's a group of religious zealots called the Red Paladins who are basically running around massacring anybody that doesn't look like them, including the fairy folk, the Fae, who Nimue is a part of. So it kind of just all revolves around that.
I mean, yeah, it sounds interesting. I like the drunk Merlin angle.
Yeah.
I will say, like, with King Arthur stuff, like, you were talking about, like, not my King Arthur. Like, what I always liked about that, I don't think when folks say that, it's not so much like they're saying, like, it's not historically accurate, because you're right. I mean, like, we don't know if any of this really happened. It's more like people saying, like, not my Lord of the Rings, or not my Star Wars. Like, King Arthur is, like, its own story by this point, with, like, kind of definitive additions. Like, my King Arthur will always be like the mid-90s made-for-TV movies with Sam Neill and the person who played Nimue, who I forget, Miranda Richardson. That was it. I always really liked those, and I've seen a bunch of Arthur stuff over the years. The Winter King. I have to agree that's a great series. I'm looking forward to seeing adapted. But it's kind of like its own thing by this point. Like you can do anything with it. Mia, are you familiar much with Arthur stuff?
Here and there, I think I talked about this earlier. I had some friends who were really into BBC Merlin, which was also kind of like that, like young Arthur and Merlin. So I was kind of into that. I was like, I don't know a ton about it, but so I'm not really like attached to it per se. I was like, a couple of years ago when I watched Merlin, I was like, okay, this is cool, but it was never a story that kind of sank in for me. But yeah, my overall feeling so far is that it's a pretty solid show. Even like I just watched like the first 2 episodes, and it to me, I wouldn't say it necessarily felt slow, but I can see like if I were to watch like maybe episode 3, episode 4, and it's like, okay, when are things gonna pick up the pace? But I was pleasantly surprised. I think my biggest selling point is it's Catherine Langford in the starring role. And I don't know, maybe there's something about like seeing a female protagonist in this type of fantasy setting, and she kind of gets to use her magic or get to, do whatever she does. So I'm kind of like rooting for her. It was like, I never really kind of felt that way with other sort of series, even like The Witcher, even though they had their female characters, it was kind of like, I kind of detached because it's like, oh, well, there's always a male protagonist. So this one it switches it up.
True, I can take that. Corey, I have a question for you. I mean, well, first of all, thanks for watching, everybody. Kathleen says she loved the BBC Merlin. And James Forthus has an interesting question here from you, Corey. You've seen both. How does Curse compare to Game of Thrones? Because, look, it's in its shadow, right? Like, it's... I realize they're different, obviously, but it's one of those series where, like, you probably made this because Game of Thrones got really big.
Sure, and I mean, everybody's attempting to kind of do a different spin on Game of Thrones. Yeah. I'd say it's on par with maybe the first season of Game of Thrones. Maybe not quite as good, but I definitely think, the first, like I said earlier, the first 4 episodes, maybe 5, they get off to a little bit of a slow start, but by the time things build up to the end, it gets really, really good. The final 2 episodes are just excellent. So, I mean, I don't know. I hate to compare the first season of a show to something that's
with the whole thing.
Yeah, it's not a fair comparison, but it's good. I enjoyed it. And I think what Mia was saying, it's like, she's rooting for Nimue, and, Arthur's played by a young black man, and so is Morgana, his sister, and things like that. And it's, it's kind of, to me, I mean, y'all talked about the BBC. It's like, well, why can't we do something a little different? We've had 10 different, Merlin shows and Excalibur shows where it's the same kind of character, and let's switch things up a little bit and see if it, changes, how much it changes things. So,
and it is doing quite well. I heard that it's like among Netflix top shows, kind of like The Witcher also hit big. It seems like they kind of are finding a niche. Like, I wasn't sure if their whole like medieval fantasy push would work, but it seems like it is. Are either of you like surprised, not surprised that the show's finding an audience?
You know what? I think, and this will kind of answer that question. When I was watching this, I was really blown away by the production value, because it feels like you are watching a movie. It's very high quality, like the scenes and it looks better than like when I watched Justice League. Like it felt like they couldn't even, make something look good. And I know these are kind of like, apples and oranges and all of that, but I think it shows kind of if they put in that, if they're putting in the work and if they're making it high quality, I think kind of like The Witcher, then, people are going to be attracted to it. Plus, Catherine Langford, she's got some street cred to her, with 13 Reasons Why. So that was Netflix, too. And so, yeah, I think when they really put their time and money into these kind of really big series, even if it's fantasy, I think people are going to come flocking to it. So I'm not necessarily surprised, but it is interesting to see that, it's capturing people's attention.
Cool. I mean, I'm all for more things like this, so I'm fine with it being ahead. And Robin Mills has a comment. I don't think they're in the same category in comparison with Game of Thrones, but The Witcher is a much better, has the same ambiance as... Oh, okay, wait a minute. I'm not sure what you're saying, Robin. Are you saying that The Witcher is much better than Cursed or much better than GOT? I'm not sure. We'll see. Corey, do you have any? Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, you have to remember it is based on a young adult graphic novel. So, while there's death and things of that nature in the show, and there's romance and stuff like that, it's not the same as Game of Thrones or even The Witcher. So, that's an important distinction to make. I mean, those are both very adult properties, and this one leans more toward G-13 type action and romance and things like that. So, I don't know. Again, I don't know. It's a fair comparison to make. So,
fair enough. I get you.
But like Mia said, the production values, especially later on, when there's some genuine magic going on and Nimue and things like that are pulling spells out of the air, it does look amazing. I mean, the graphics are great. They clearly spent a good amount of money. It does not look cheap. Some of the things that they did. So.
Got to spend money to make money. And Robin did enjoy Curse, which is great. Looking forward to the next season. So, final word, would you recommend this to me, someone who has not seen Cursed at all yet?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like I said earlier, it's different. You get different takes on stuff. One of the more interesting arcs that I enjoyed was Morgana. I mean, in the typical Arthurian legends, she's basically always evil.
Yeah.
And here she starts off very much on the side of the heroes, and so I enjoyed watching her kind of descend into the more typical evil character that we've known from some of the other adaptations. So it's a lot of fun. There's some parts of it that aren't great. Some of the comedy kind of falls flat.
Right.
Yeah, it's when they kind of insert some characters here or there for comedic relief, it doesn't really land, I think. But overall, it's a great series, especially if you can kind of get through those first couple episodes when they're laying the groundwork for stuff. And there's a lot of characters that over time you don't necessarily know who they are, as far as the framework of their Arthurian legend, but over the course of the series, you learn who they are.
Well, that's kind of cool.
Who you recognize. Yeah, so I definitely recommend it. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. So
sweet. As a few folks are saying, Martin and Robin, I think the guy who plays Merlin also plays Floki on Vikings, right? Or is it someone else?
Gustav Skarsgård. So yeah, he plays Merlin and he plays Floki on Vikings, and they have a little bit of a similar energy. Floki's kind of off his rocker a little bit, and so is Merlin in this. So yeah, he's on it. He's a big part of it, and when you really kind of start to understand him, the show, I think he's kind of pivotal. And once you really start to see what he's doing, the show really kicks into high gear.
Cool. Is Gustav Skarsgård part of the Hollywood Skarsgårds?
He is. His dad is Stellan.
Oh,
wow. Fun.
I told you they're all related. Every single Skarsgård is related.
Yeah.
The Skarsgårds and the Hemsworth should have a charity volleyball match sometime.
Yeah. So, definitely related to the Hollywood Skarsgårds. So.
Ready to roll. Do either of you have any final thoughts before we move on to another topic on Cursed?
I think I'm good. I might stick around, see what happens these next couple episodes.
Very cool. I might check it out because it does sound pretty interesting. I do like Arthur stuff. In the Sam Neill movie, Morgana was played by Helena Bonham Carter, and she was really good. That's my final word on that. All right, Corey, thank you for coming by and letting us your expertise on the topic of Cursed. And now,
all right, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, see you soon. We shall gently play you off. All right. All right, everybody, we're going to go on to another topic. We're going to move on to Game of Thrones spin-off House of the Dragon news. But while we get that up and running, I invite you to consider joining the WIC Club. It's all you got to do is buy a WIC Winter is Coming t-shirt, and you get access to extra videos, extra articles, and a prize once a month. Last month was a Game of Thrones Monopoly game. Who knows what it'll be this month? I'm not sure yet. going to leave a link right here in case you're interested. And we're also available in podcast form to listen to, Spreaker, iTunes, on your commute, during your morning jog, social distancing, of course, anywhere. And now, Mia, I wanted to talk about some big news that came down the pike this week. Well, not really. I mean, I'll tell you what happened. You decide to me if it's news or a rumor.
Okay.
Basically, we are finally getting some information about House of the Dragon, which is HBO's follow-up series to Game of Thrones. Like, we've known they were making it for a long time, since since last year. After the first Game of Thrones, we were kind of bottomed out. The same day, actually, they canceled the first Game of Thrones prequel, but they were like, "But wait, it's okay. We've ordered this show to series. It's going to be a show about the Dance of the Dragons, which is this kind of epic Targaryen civil war that happens 100-some years before the actual show, and it's Daenerys Targaryen's ancestors back when they were ruling Westeros, back when they were in charge, back when they still had all their dragons, and it's a pretty good story. And basically, the news, which it's not certain if it's really news or a rumor, it was reported by this pretty reliable kind of leak site called Recapped. And basically it has it that HBO is casting a couple of really key roles. It's casting the role of Rhaenyra Targaryen and Alicent Hightower. And we have their picture here. There they are, the two women at probably the King's Landing tournament, where I'm going to guess they both debuted their signature looks, which are very important. So, okay, do you mind if I go into a brief thing about who they are and why they're important?
I would love to hear this.
Okay, so these two women are kind of like the crux of the Dance of the Dragon story. So on the left, we have Rhaenyra Targaryen. She is the presumptive heir to the Iron Throne. Her father is, I want to say, Viserys Targaryen. Oh, God, I'm going to get it wrong. Whatever. Her father is the king. And pretty much since an early age, he said, okay, Rhaenyra, you are the best child to have. You're going to be my heir. I'm going to train you to, be queen in a while. And she's like, cool, into it, love it. It's great. Let's do that. The woman on the right is Alicent Hightower. After Rhaenyra's mother dies, the king's first wife, they mourn for a bit.
Here's my notebook.
You do. I mean, again, Game of Thrones is nothing if not complicated. Just tell me if you can't follow this. And I mean, because that's part of the test. If you can't follow it, the show has problems.
All right, let's keep it going.
So that's Rhaenyra. So she's the princess and presumptive heir to the Iron Throne. She has a dragon. She's the whole Targaryen thing. Alicent Hightower is her stepmother. So after her mother dies, the king remarries, right, to Alicent Hightower. And at first they have a good relationship, but then she starts having her half-siblings. Alicent Hightower has new children with the king, who are Rhaenyra's half-brothers. And she starts thinking, I want my son to be the king. I don't want Rhaenyra to be the queen. And thus begins a conflict. I think at that picture I just showed, which is from, that is a drawing by Doug Wheatley from some book or something. They're at this famous tournament where they both come out there. They're both at this point are kind of rivals because Rhaenyra wants to be the queen, Elsa wants her son to be the king. And Rhaenyra comes out in Targaryen red and black in a gown, and Alicent Hightower comes out in a green gown. And from there on out, all their supporters are called either the Reds or the Blacks, and the war is between the Reds and the Blacks, all because of their fashion choices at this tournament, which is fun. And just without going into it too much, basically they're kind of the central conflict. And then the king dies, the old king dies, and suddenly Rhaenyra wants the throne on the one hand, Alicent wants the throne for her son on the other hand. They both can't have the throne, so what are they going to do? They're going to go to war, and there's going to be dragons in the sky, and there's going to be betrayals, and there's going to be, people fighting each other in the streets, fighting in the air, people going behind each other's backs. There's going to be plots. There's going to be schemes. There's going to be murder. There's going to be death most foul. There's going to be love. There's going to be romance. There's going to be seduction and lust. And there's going to be some intense drama. And that is basically the Dance of the Dragons in summary form. What do you think, Mia? Are you in?
Oh, that's something. Yeah, you really it is an interesting kind of tale. And I think what people like most about Game of Thrones is that there's a whole lot of family drama. We all have family drama.
We do.
Game of Thrones though takes it to, new heights. So yeah, this sounds really interesting. And I think even for fans who didn't read the book, because I think kind of the appeal about Game of Thrones too was that, I have a lot of friends who never read any of the books or don't even know.
Sure.
And so you still kind of need an interesting premise that, is like not too nerdy or not like too far into the lore.
Yeah.
That, is still kind of accessible to the average person or the average fan. And yeah, I'm starting to think now that with just the long absence of, since season 8, we've had, it's been a drought. I think this kind of stuff will bring people back in, especially since it's, the Targaryens. Everyone loved Daenerys and, everyone else. Or did they? But yeah, it makes me really excited to kind of hear something like that. And I think, oddly enough, I'm kind of like in this Game of Thrones drought too. I'm kind of missing it.
Oh,
it's starting to affect me.
That's sweet. I mean, it could be because you do this show with me every week and you have to miss it.
Yeah.
I mean, what you said about like there being like kind of a non-nerdy draw. Not that I don't love nerdy things. Obviously, I do. But I do like the fact that like what I just told you is it's rooted in family drama. It's it's not like a far-flung kind of magic power, even like something with like the Curse show where you just like deliver a magic sword to somebody. It's a stepdaughter and a stepmother are in conflict for the father's affections, and that kind of spirals into a much bigger drama. Yeah. But like I like that the root of it is a very human conflict, like that. There's not even anything like as big as the White Walker stuff in this story. There's not anything like kind of. There are no zombies on the way. It's all people fighting people. And I mean, there are people fighting people on the backs of dragons sometimes. But at the end of the day, it is still all about the human beings involved, which I really like. And I think that'll be a good selling point.
Yeah, it's universal. It's Shakespearean. Happens on Keeping Up with Kardashians every week.
Relatable content. As Robin Mills says, Cinderella story with an evil twist. Excited hoping for more dragons and direwolves. Definitely more dragons. And there could be some direwolves in there. There are some Starks who play into the story. Not like a ton. This is a very big Targaryen tale. And there are other characters too, of course. But looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And as far as like casting goes, they haven't announced anything, but they're looking for it. I just like my mind, and there have been folk like suggesting like who should play Rhaenyra, who should play Alicent. My two picks are for Rhaenyra, Florence Pugh, who is killing it on stuff like Little Women, who's going to be in Black Widow. She's like the name for herself. And then as Alicent Hightower, I'm going to go ahead and choose Charlize Theron, who was also kind of killing it lately. Like, that's like two folk with screen presence, two folks who have just a lot of can command the screen with their face and like a little facial expression, which I'm really into. But I mean, it might be better. Do you think they should go for like star power, or should they go with like cast Maisie Williams unknown type?
I'm inclined to maybe say half and half, or have maybe not for the two ladies, maybe for like another character who comes in and out, kind of randomly, like John Lithgow or something on Perry Mason, or just like that one person.
He died.
Yeah. No.
The character.
Oh, how sad. Yeah, I think. I'm like, since it's Game of Thrones, people would be attracted to it anyway, but it doesn't hurt to maybe have, a little somebody, like a little Sean Bean here or there.
I was going to say,
not Sean, but the idea of it.
Wouldn't that be fun if they had Sean Bean for another role?
Did he get cast in something, though?
He's in Snowpiercer. He's doing that.
Yeah, we're right. Yeah, that was announced, Snowpiercer. So that should be something.
Sure, he'll die. It'd be funny if they had Sean Bean back on House of the Dragon and they killed him again. Because, like, there are plenty of characters who die. It gets so naughty, Mia. Like, there is Targaryen incest. So we'll keep up that Game of Thrones tradition.
Oh
which
boy.
is great. But there are other things. There's like one story I like about like a common girl who kind of is the first non-Targaryen to train a dragon, and she is able to get on it and just run away with the thing. And then she steals Rhaenyra's husband, and it's great. And they run away together. There's a lot of good like drama in this story, which is why I'm excited for it if they do it well. And yeah, it could be really special. We probably won't see anything for a while. I mean, even if COVID hadn't interfered, we wouldn't see anything for a while. And now we'll won't see anything for an extra long while. Probably like a few years, 2 years maybe. The same rumor had it that they were going to start shooting next year in like the UK and Spain, but we'll see if that happens. And that the code name for the project is Red Gun.
Oh. There's no guns back then. What could it mean?
Exactly, yeah. They don't know to get a what? A gun? Okay. And that's that. Okay. As Elliot says, Nettles, yes. I am a huge Nettles fan, Elliot. I am looking forward to seeing her story done right. I think she's a really cool character. Whew. So yeah, looking forward to that. If any of you all out there have comments, what you want to see, what do you want to see for Dance of the Dragon show? Who do you think should play Rhaenyra and Alicent Hightower? Rhaenyra Targaryen and Alicent Hightower. I'd love to know. Do you agree with my Florence Pugh and Charlize Theron picks? We'll figure it out. Okay. Next up, Mia. Before we get to like what are we watching, I wanted to go over some news that broke out today. Another rumor, because rumors are basically just news that we haven't caught up with yet. What do you think of the idea that Disney may be readying yet another Star Wars Disney Plus show, this time with Donald Glover returning to the role of young Lando Calrissian as he played him in Star Wars Solo, a Star Wars story.
Yeah, apparently this is a resurfaced rumor, but with added, somebody's like, oh, well, I've got a new update. So who knows? There's a podcast. Today they shared a clip where they said something along the lines of, I hear that Donald Glover is going to be having his own spinoff series. They were also saying like Star Wars really wants this to happen. It's like he wants it to happen too, but also Donald Glover is really busy because he's Donald Glover.
And like an album, a TV show, a movie. That guy does absolutely everything.
Yeah, he does
probably
not stop.
Makes his own clothes.
Oh, I would like that. Anyway, so I think out of all of these series, I would say that would probably be like among my top. If that were to happen, I would say that and Obi-Wan would end up making into my top 2. So I think because it's Donald Glover, there's a lot of potential for it. There's a lot of demand for these side characters. As you can see, Disney cannot stop these, the rumors cannot stop. But it seems like Star Wars is kind of ripe for that anyway. So, it's easy to just kind of say, hey, I think so-and-so is going to come back and do a spinoff or show up here and there. And it could be right. Who knows what's going on behind closed doors.
At this point, I'm thinking of just starting a rumor, just like I hear they're going to make a show about R2-D2's early days and like his teenage years, like what he was doing when he was kind of developing as a little trash can robot. And like, you know what? It might be true because, I feel like I do this every couple of weeks, but I just have to do it really quickly. Just run down quickly the list of shows that are now either being made or rumored to be being made. The Mandalorian Season 2, the Obi-Wan Kenobi show with Ewan McGregor, the Cassian Andor show with Diego Luna, The Bad Batch, that's that new animated show they're bringing to us. And now the rumored shows are show about Ahsoka Tano, Rosario Dawson, and that one kind of feels real because she's definitely going to be in Mandalorian at least. A show about Grand Admiral Thrawn. I spit everywhere when I said that. Who's a character from Star Wars. And now a possible Lando Calrissian, Donald Glover show. That's 7 programs, Mia. And I mean, again, I just, every time I say this, like, good for you, that should be fun, Star Wars everywhere. Is it too much? We'll find out soon enough. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Like, it sounds, if you can get Donald Glover in front of a camera, it's always a good time. And it does sound like one of the more interesting ones. I am, as always, concerned about bloat and too much. But I mean, obviously, it's not going to stop them from giving us 25 concurrent Star Wars shows, so they might as well make good ones.
Yeah. I'm looking. I would be interested to see, especially like when would they announce this, because they had to cancel Star Wars convention. That was supposed to be this year. And what's funny is last year when it was here in Chicago, they were like, hey, good news, everybody. You usually have to wait 2 years for every Star Wars convention. They were like, you know what? Say no more. We're going to have it next year. You don't have to wait 2 years. And I was like, guys, you're going to have to wait till 2022. So it's like Star Wars Comic-Con has started today. They don't really have any movie or TV panels going on. So it's like, who knows when if or when they are going to officially announce all of this.
I mean, they could do it at any time, really. I mean, they could drop a trailer whenever they want. Like, they could do it next week. They could do it while Comic-Con is going on, for all we know. I mean, if you believe the rumors, they have so much Star Wars things going on, so much to announce, and they got to come out at some point. So we'll just keep our ear to the ground, I guess, and see what happens.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on a Lando show to Star Wars in general, the state of Star Wars?
I'll be keeping an eye out, keeping my eyes and ears open.
Yeah. As Elliot says, by the way, about the House of the Dragon stuff, I hope we get more unknown actors. As opposed to like star power with Florence Pugh or Charlize Theron. I actually do think that probably is the better way to go in the long run. I mean, I want someone who will embody the character well, and that someone is probably not like just hanging out in Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's just fun to think about, though. Like, what if there was a famous person in this?
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's room for a couple. Ultimately, I just want to be the best person for the role. Although, I don't know, man. Florence Pugh is really, really talented. and she even kind of looks like Rhaenyra a little bit. I'm just saying. We'll see what happens.
Certainly will.
And finally, Mia, what are we watching?
Yeah.
What are we reading? What are we doing to entertain ourselves while we sit in quarantine? And you out there, what are you guys watching? I want to talk about what we're watching and how we're enjoying it. I want to start out first with, have you seen The Old Guard on Netflix?
I did. I just caught it last night it was like, that was one of those top 10 ones too, and I kept putting it off literally up until now.
Yeah, that movie came out on Netflix like a couple of weeks ago with Charlize Theron, just with why she was on the brain, as like the leader of an immortal band of do-gooding mercenaries based on a comic book. It exploded. It got so huge, like in a couple of weeks with no word of mouth, which always happens on Netflix. Like Stranger Things 2 was like no one had ever heard of it. They just put it out there, no promotion, and then it just got big because people started watching and talking about it. Same exact thing here. What'd you think of it?
Yeah, it was pretty entertaining. I won't say it's like the greatest thing that I've ever seen, but it is an interesting concept because you've got Charlize and her team, and they're kind of like these immortal, they can't die. They're trying to figure out like who they are, how long they've been around. And then the whole thing is, what is it? There's like, they got a new sort of recruit, somebody who they find who is also just like them.
Immortal.
And then there's this, the guy from the cousin Dudley from Harry Potter is trying to like steal their super. Did you know that was him, the guy with the curly hair?
I knew I recognized him. I could not place it. I was like, is he like Benedict Cumberbatch? If you put him in the dryer for a while or something like that. But like, no, thank you, because I knew I recognized that guy, but I could not figure it out. Thank you, Mia. That was bothering me.
That was him. Yeah, I looked it up too. I was like, I know, but so he, is trying to find a way to take their powers and like sell it to the masses. A lot of these movies are usually trying to like solve the mortality whole thing. But yeah, I would say it was a pretty enjoyable movie for what it's worth. Again, another high quality thing from Netflix.
Yeah.
Good cast. Chiwetel Ejiofor, he was pretty good in that too.
Yeah, they got Chiwetel.
And it looks like, it's kind of set up for a sequel.
Absolutely set up for a sequel. I liked it a lot too. I thought it was straightforward. It was fun, action heavy. Charlize Theron, like, I never really realized it, but like, she is a big action star. Like Mad Max Fury Road, Aeon Flux back in the day, Atomic Blonde. Like, she does action movies a lot. And she does it really convincingly. The fights were really great. The concept was fun. It kind of reminded me of, like, I mean, there was some cheese going on. But it was good cheese. It was like
Yeah.
fun action movie, like one-liner cheese. Like when the bad guy is finally dispatched and Charlize Theron like looks out the window and just says like, "Play dead, mother bleed." Just like that could have been written for Stallone, like back in the day. It was so like on the nose.
What was there? There was another one where they were in the plane and then the pilot somehow dies and she was like, "We need a pilot." And then Charlie's was like, "Oh, you don't need a pilot when you can jump out of a plane." I was like, whoa.
There's some good ones. There's some singers. It wasn't all just grim and dark.
No,
I see why it hit. It was a fun time, and I'm sure there'll be a sequel sooner or later. Just they have to work through. I kind of doubt they were expecting to do this well, you know.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It is interesting though because you've got her in a lead role, so I'm sure they were hoping for something. But yeah, I think the turnout was probably bigger than they could have imagined.
Oh yeah, and now if we get more, I'd watch more. Absolutely. As Elliot says, he just finished Dark on Netflix, amazing series with a complex story. I've heard nothing but great things about Dark. I still haven't watched it. Again, that's just one for the queue, but because I have heard that's really, really good, Elliot.
Mm.
That's that German language sci-fi show they have on Netflix. Like, Netflix has some good stuff, but it's always so quiet about it. Do you understand why that is? They never promote their stuff.
Yeah.
Or at least
even like you said, like the foreign language stuff too. It's kind of like it's all good, but depending on what it is, you can barely hear a whisper about it.
Like it finds an audience, but it has to like get popular by word of mouth. It's I don't know. It's weird to me that they don't like put more effort because like I couldn't go more than 8 minutes for a while without seeing an advertisement for that like Central Park show on a Apple TV Plus a while back. But nothing's the thing.
Yeah. Apple TV Plus, I think, is struggling. It's kind of That's just my opinion.
I think you're probably right. As Debbie says, Snowpiercer wrapped up really well, which is great. I haven't watched that one either. So much to watch. What am I watching? I'm probably gonna watch The Umbrella Academy now because I have the screeners. See what happens.
Oh, I didn't ask for them myself because I was like, I just need to catch up. We've got somebody else doing the review. I was like, I'll watch them when it's out later at the end of the month.
Right. And you said that you are reading something new. Now, reading is when there are words on a page and you flip it and you use your brain to interpret them, right?
That is correct. This has not happened in a very long time.
Wow.
Well, though I don't have a physical copy of the book, I downloaded it to all my iDevices because it's just easier. But I did download Lovecraft Country, which is going to be the HBO series coming out next month. And the main reason that I did it is because we're planning a lot of really good, big things about it as far as content on FanSided.com. I know you all are too. But I was like, I should probably know, what's going on in the book before I jump ahead to the series. So I started reading it a couple days ago, and it's really, really good. It's really immersive. So far, it's about this guy. It takes place kind of like in the Jim Crow era of the United States, and it kind of has to do with travel and finding these spots that are part of the Green Book, which is, like safe places for African Americans go to travel. Right. And then at some point it's going to go into monsters. I don't know how it's going to transition into monsters and sci-fi, but I am so interested in it. But it's kind of funny because the main character is really like into books. He's really into reading all sorts of sci-fi and all that. So it's really relatable because it's like, oh, I also like that. So I'm interested to find out more. And I think it's going to translate really well on screen. So it's a good, and it's an easy read too. It's not too complicated. It's not too big or anything like that.
Yeah, the show looks exciting. The show looks like it's going to have some things to say and just kind of be up in your face about it, which I'm looking forward to. I mean, I have my main question about the show whenever I hear about it is do you even need Lovecraftian horror monsters if you're a black person traveling through the Jim Crow South in America?
Right. Yeah.
Is that not scary enough?
Right. Yeah. It's just another so that's why I'm really interested to see how those two things weave together.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and so I don't know if I can officially announce this, but it's something we're in the works of making a Lovecraft Country podcast for FanSided. So I mean, unless for some odd reason it just completely falls flat, I don't think I did not have clearance to say that. So I'm really excited to kind of share that, and we're going to hopefully get our first episode out by August the 3rd, just before the series airs. So it should be pretty fun.
Can I be a guest?
You definitely can. I was like, if you're gonna watch it, I think we need Dan back. We can make it a little reunion for our podcast.
That'll be fun. Okay, you have all to look forward to. I hope you enjoyed people watching this exclusive debut. By the way, Elliot asks, is Cursed worth watching? I think the consensus of Mia and Corey, who were on here before, was that by and large, yes. Right, Mia?
Yeah, I would say so. It's definitely worth checking out. I mean, if you don't like it, then it sounds like you need to stick through, the first 3 or 4 episodes, but it's really, really high production value. It's worth a watch.
So there you go. We think it's worth watching. I haven't seen it yet, Elliot, but after these guys talked about it, I'm thinking of picking it up. All right. Also, I'm still liking Perry Mason. I think it's only getting better. I think this one might be one that actually might go the distance. We'll see how it does in the home stretch. John Lithgow died. Oh, it's so sad. But the other characters soldier on. Any other thoughts, Mia, about both movies, TV, Cursed, House of the Dragon, Lovecraft Country, anything? Lando?
No, I think I'll keep an eye out on Comic-Con. It's happening today through Sunday. And whatever happens this weekend, we can talk about it next week.
I'm sure we'll have plenty to discuss. And we will see you back here next Wednesday, 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, here on the Winter Screen Facebook page. Link to the WIC Club is up top for extra videos, articles, prizes, all that good stuff. We are available anywhere podcasts are downloadable, iTunes mostly. That's where most people get their podcasts. So, give us a like, give us an excellent review, as many stars as possible. Thanks for watching. We will see you later. Bye, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Bye.